Hey, welcome to Concept 3 in Chapter 3. We're actually going to do Concept 3 Part 1 and, Part 2 today. I'm going to actually combine these two because I don't think it's going to take us very long at all. In this lesson, we're going to be learning about something called a function. And up until now, all throughout Chapter 3, we've been talking about relations. So we're going to look at today specific kinds of relations that can be called a function. Now, in functions, you're going to have each value in the domain paired with only exactly one value in the range, and that would make this called a function. Okay, so the domain can only be paired with exactly one range. Okay. If the value in the domain is paired with more than one value in the range, then that is not a function, okay? So pay very close attention. We call our domain values, our x values, the inputs, and we call our y values, our range values, the output. So you kind of think of, for every input, there should only be one output. If you have more than one pairing, then this is not a function, okay? Now, you can identify functions in two ways. You can use a mapping diagram, or you can do something called the vertical line test. Obviously, if you're going to use the vertical line test, you have to graph the numbers, the ordered pairs first and draw a line to represent the graph, and then you'd go from there. When you're given a graph, the vertical line test is very quick and easy, and it's very useful, and it comes in handy. However, I think when you're given ordered pairs, sometimes the mapping diagram can be a little bit easier because it lets you skip the step of actually having to plot points and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's look over here at number 1. Okay, so we've got a relation here with these ordered pairs. First thing I'm going to do is plot these points. So we have 4, 9. And these, I want you to notice on this graph, these go up by 2s. So when you're plotting 4, you'll have 4 here, and 9 is going to be here between 8 and 10. So be very, very careful. We have -2, -3, 3, 6, and 0, 6. Okay, so that's how we would plot our points. Let's create our mapping diagram so that we can look at these numbers and decide if they are a relation or not. Now remember, in your mapping diagram, your numbers need to go from least to greatest, so order does matter. So let's go -2, 0, 3, and 4. And our range, our y values, -3, 6. Remember, we have 2 6s here. Now, when we're talking about a mapping diagram, we only write it once, and then 9. Now, let's pair up our ordered pairs. -2 went with -3. 0 went with 6. 3 went with 6. And 4 went with 9. Okay. Now, we have our mapping diagram. Let's think about what I set up here. In the domain, only one value can be paired with exactly one value in the range, okay? We don't have any one single value in our domain going to more than one number in the range, okay? 2 different values in the domain go to the same range, but that's okay. If you go this way to the same number, it's fine. You just couldn't have, for example, -2, we have a line going to -3 and to -6. That's where you would have a problem. But the other way, the reverse way, where we have more than one input for an output, so we have 0 and 3 going to 6, that's fine. So this is a function. Okay. For your reason, each domain pairs with one range. That's a good enough explanation for me. Okay, let's look over here at number 2. I want you to pause the video and plot these points on your own, please. Okay, your graph should look something like this. It should look exactly like this, not something like this. And let's go down here and do our mapping diagram like we have been. Okay, here we go. And we're going to, once again, put these values in order from least to greatest. We have 1 twice, so we only need to write it 1 time, okay? So we have 1, 3, and 5. And in our range, we have 2 4s, so make sure you remember to only write it once. -4, 2, and 4. Okay, now let's create our pairs. Okay, let's see if this is a function or not. Remember, each domain value can pair with only one range value, okay? 1 right here pairs with -4 and +4. So here's a perfect example of what I mean by a value in our domain pairing with 2 values in the range, okay? This makes this not a function, okay? Because 1 pairs with -4 and +4, okay? Let's look over here at the last example. I want you to pause the video, and this time I want you to graph the ordered pairs and make your mapping diagram. Okay. Let's take a look at our mapping diagram and see what's going on here. Ooh, once again, we have a value in our domain paired with 2 different values in the range. So that's going to make this not a function, okay? Because 6 pairs with 9 and 10, and it can't do that, okay? So, let's flip over to the other example that we're going to look at today when we talk about functions. To identify a function, we can use the vertical line test. So let's flip over to the next page here real quick. Now, a lot of you are really going to like the vertical line test because it's very quick, very easy, and not too difficult to figure out, okay? So what's going to happen here with the vertical line test? Well, we know that a vertical line runs from up to down, okay? So what this means is anywhere in a graph, if we draw a vertical line from up to down and it crosses the graph in more than one place, then that means it is not a function. Let me show you what I mean. So here in number 1, let's draw a line anywhere, vertical line, okay? We'll have one here, here, here. It doesn't matter. Just draw a couple of them, all right? And in these pink lines that I drew, these vertical lines only cross the graph once here, once here, once here, and once down here. That means this is a function, okay? Because no matter where I draw a vertical line, I could do one here, here, in between, off to the side here, it doesn't matter. It will always only cross the graph once, okay? So the relation is a function because it crosses once. All right, let's look over here at the next one. Let's draw a couple vertical lines so we can do our vertical line test a couple different ways. Let's do one here, here, and here. Okay, now let's look at these. Look at our vertical line over here, our first one to the left. Ooh, this crosses our graph here, 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 here. Let's look at another one over here. Right here, right here, right here, right here, here. Oh my goodness, it crosses a lot, okay? So that means that this is not going to be a function, okay? Is this starting to make sense? Anytime that your vertical line crosses the graph more than once, that means it is not a function. Okay. Let's skip down here to this one. Let's draw a vertical line. Well, you'll see if we draw a vertical line somewhere like right there, it's going to cross the graph twice. So that is more than once. If I draw it here, well, that's going to cross the line in a bunch of different places. this entire part, they cross, okay? So what that means is, let's see here, 2, 4, 6, 8, at 8, 6, at 8, 5, at 8, 4, at 8, 3, at 8, 2, it doesn't matter, a bunch of different places. And I'm just talking about whole numbers. There can be decimals in between. So this is going to be a lot of intersection going on over here. So this problem is not a function. Crosses more than once. Let's say more than once. Okay. I want you to flip over. Let me see what I put here on the back. We're just going to do maybe 1 or 2 more. Let's look at these last 2. Now, when you have something like this, these look like little steps, you have to be really, really careful and try a couple of different spots because it could be a little bit misleading. If you were only to draw one vertical line and you put it right here, you would say, oh yeah, this is a function because it only crosses the graph once right here. Well, be very, very careful because what if you put a vertical line right here? Remember the last example I showed you? This is going to cross or intersect at all these points right here, okay? And that's more than once, so that makes this not a function, okay? So I guess my goal here is to make you realize that you have to try your vertical line test in more than one spot on the graph. Okay, now let's look over here. We have a vertical line and we're doing a vertical line test on a vertical line. What do you think is going to happen here? Well, the only place I can draw my vertical line that will be on the line of the graph is completely through the line of the graph. So that means it's going to intersect infinitely, okay? In every single spot, it's going to intersect, okay? So what that means is this is also not a graph. Crosses more than once, okay? So I want you to, first of all, notice that I skipped a couple. All the ones that I skipped, you don't get to skip. You have to try them on your own. So that means 1, 2, 3, and then this one here on the back. So I left you 4. All right? We'll talk about this more when you get into class and obviously do a couple examples like we always do. Don't forget to do your questions.